And you mentioned the second thing I was going to ask you to update. I know the two of you travel all over the place and have a great time being retired. How was San Juan? Tell us how Puerto Rico was, and you've had some experiences with fasting and some activity to report.
Yeah, we love San Juan. We went to San Juan first years ago at a cruise stop, so you only get to spend maybe 6 or 8 hours there. We're like, we have to come back to this place. We have to fly here. It's only 2 hours from South Florida where I live. It's a pretty cheap flight, and so we rent an Airbnb that has a full kitchen. We make sure we get that. Pretty affordable too. In right downtown Old San Juan. So there's Puerto Rico, which is one of the five territories of the United States. And then there's this little island off of Puerto Rico called Old San Juan where the castles are, or not the castles, the forts. Beautiful. The streets are amazing. The people are friendly. Everybody speaks English or Spanish. And, we went to the grocery store and got our food for the week and just walk around. It is the most enjoyable place. We love it there. I've been there 8 times. This was our eighth time. We're like, we have to do something different. So we looked up an excursion. A bus came and picked us up, and we went about an hour away into the rainforest, and we took like a 3 or 4 hour hike up to this waterfall. It was about 12 of us. We didn't know the other people. They were in their 20s or 30s. Doug and I are in our 60s, and I didn't eat any food that day. I'm like, I'm going to fast. I'll wait till we get home and eat dinner. And well, we were ahead of everybody. We were jumping on the rocks and the stones and up and down and over the branches. And then we're in our bathing suits and went swimming, went under the waterfall. It was just like heaven. I love being out in nature with everything, refreshing. And then we had to come all the way back down again. And then they stopped for lunch because everybody else had to refuel with plantains and rice and beans and carbs. And Doug and I just chose not to eat the lunch that came with it. And we just sat there and we still fasted, had all this energy. So right there is my N equals one, right? You don't need carbs for energy for sure. And anybody who would like to go to Puerto Rico, go to Old San Juan. I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful place to go.
You've got me sold, my friend. That sounds absolutely amazing. And of course, I'm not surprised that you were leading the pack of people half your age or greater. And it's just amazing. Once you understand the power of fasting, you understand where you're getting your fuel from. You realize it's coming from stored body fat rather than the food that you eat. You have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, in some cases, of calories of energy in the form of fat already on the body. It's a perfect fuel that your body can utilize, even at higher levels. I play ice hockey games, which are highly anaerobic at very high heart rates. I always do them in the fasted state. I don't need any carbohydrates. I'm able to burn fat even at super high levels. And that energy is just always there and you can always rely on it. It's
And you're
steady,
focused. You're
yeah,
so focused. Your energy
dialed.
attention level is dialed in.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing.
You don't feel the same hunger. If you do, it just kind of passes really easy. And then vacations are my favorite thing to talk about as far as fasting because,
Yeah,
yeah, you might have just been sitting there for lunch, but you could have gone on a stroll. You could have explored something different. You didn't have to stop at 10 a.m. to grab a snack. You didn't
right.
have to stop at 2 p.m. to grab more food. Like you can actually appreciate and enjoy your vacation. So I think it's wonderful. I love that you're not only putting out great information, but you're also leading by example. So that's super cool. Thanks for the recommendations. I'll definitely be booking a trip to Puerto Rico sometime soon. Like I said, been poking around the sample that's available of your book, and one of the first things you talk about is how you kind of thought you were maybe done writing about carnivore. You'd put out some really great books, even the workbook that we didn't mention in the introduction. Amazing books, and it's pretty comprehensive, everything that you've already covered. And you kind of realized that there was more to this story that you wanted to talk about. So tell us, kind of what the impetus for writing this book was.
Well, I talk about plant toxins and plants in my first two books. Just talk about them a lot, actually, and I talk about them constantly on my YouTube channel. I make a little mini lesson every day that comes out and often involves plant toxins or how to avoid them or what they're doing to the body. And I realized, all right, this other book is writing itself already. I started this a couple months ago, the writing of it. Well, when did I start? Started like in June or July. And I thought I want to make a book that is not a reading book like a novel or an informational book. I wanted to make a reference book. So you can use the table of contents. I heard something called saponins. What the heck is that? You can look that up in the table of contents, go right to that chapter and just read about that one toxin. Where is it found? What plants? What is it doing to the human body? How can we maybe reduce it? What are all the different plants that they occur in? And that's what I wanted to make. And so I came up with this. It's basically a reference guide. It's not a read it cover to cover, I can't put it down kind of book. I wanted to make a book that where you can just go to, and that's why I call it the complete guide to plant toxins. I listed pretty much all of them that are out there. There's so many. Maybe there's some I didn't mention. I don't know. I'll ask Dr. Chafee, but I tried to make it as comprehensive as possible and fill it with the details that I learned. A lot of the things I write in my book, I learned them. And I get so excited. I'm like, I never know this information. I apply this to my life. I make my life better. I remove things. I have to let people know. And that's why I have my YouTube channel. That's why I make the books. Now, I don't have another one lined up yet. So if something sparks me, then I'm like, I have to make a book about that. But nothing
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, sure. I'll text you next week and you'll have one finished by then already.
Well, not finished, but
Well, I just told you that I consume most of my books via Audible. I like to listen to things because I'm like you. I like to be out doing things, staying active, go on walks, do my work on my phone while I'm out walking. So just explaining what the purpose of the book is, and as a reference guide, this is going to be one that I'm going to buy the hardcover of for sure. I almost think about it. Go ahead.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to get the Audible. For this one, I'm not making an Audible
Oh,
because it's a reference book.
oh,
But what I am doing is each week I'm reading the chapter as if I would for Audible, and I'm putting it on my YouTube channel. So chapter one, chapter two, chapter three are already out on my YouTube channel. So my listeners every week, they don't even have to buy the book if they want to just, spread it out over the weeks and listen to the Audibles once each week. So you can still
got it.
listen to it that way if you want to.
Good to know. That's so funny. I swear I got a notification today, Audible, that a book from you was available today. Could it
The
be the
book
product?
and the Kindle, but not the Audible. Yeah. Now
Interesting.
for
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I must have misunderstood it. Well, again, having this around as a reference, I think, is really, really important, especially for coaches out there or people who really want to deep dive. I almost think about it as like the Carnivore Code by Paul Saladino, one of the first carnivore books to come out. That is not a book I recommend to every person unless they want to keep it around as a reference and dig around and find things that they're interested in. Which so I think that's going to be super, super valuable. You also talk about in the book, we're going to talk about plant toxins and what they do and what they do in the body.
Right.
But you mentioned that you're not anti-plant. You're pro-information. Explain that.
Uh, Plants have been around uh, since as long as we have been, and we have eaten them. We are omnivores. Okay. I believe that we're carnivores, but we also can have plants, but they're not our standard foundational food, and they never were. But in times of famine, in times of sparsity, we can use them to get over the hump. But they come with side effects. They come with toxins. Some of them are very high. Some of them are very bad. Some of them can kill you. And our ancestors found this out the hard way. All right. When we go to the grocery store and we look at the produce section, all the plants that you see there, all the fruits, all the vegetables are the ones, the very small percentage of 1% that are tolerable by most human beings. I mean, most of the plants in the world are just purely deadly poisonous and toxic. And then you talk to certain people, and you've interviewed many of them, and I've listened to many interviews where some people they can't have any. They can't have a single plant, or they break out terribly, or they have horrible emotional issues, or it basically causes different reactions for different people. So this isn't a one size fits all. Some people can tolerate plants. Some people can't. Some people can have this and not that. So it's very nuanced.
Yeah. I really appreciate the way you tackle it. You mentioned Dr. Chafee and his tagline, obviously, are plants are trying to kill you.
Right.
I always try to take that saying and kind of soften it and switch it out a little bit. I don't love saying it like that. I like saying plants are trying to protect themselves because it's a little bit less entitled. Like we think these plant toxins are trying to hurt us, harm us, kill us, whatever. It really has very little to do with us. It's our own entitlement to think that plants are trying to do this. They're just simply trying to protect themselves, which is why they develop them. Is that correct?
I say the same thing. I say plants are trying to protect themselves. They can't run, they can't hide, they can't fight. So they have chemical warfare. They have developed chemical weapons
Yep.
to be used. And the other side of that coin is we as intelligent human beings through time have learned that we can use some of these plants medicinally if the dose is right. And I was hoping you might get into one of these questions about the dose making the poison, because there's an argument for that. And Chafee talks about it, and I've learned so much about that too. Plants can be our friends in certain circumstances, but there's a lot to talk about there. We can't just eat them willy-nilly. We can't control the dose when we just eat plants. Oh, this plant's good for you for this reason, so I'm going to eat a lot of it. Well, it comes with a lot of other plant toxins as well, not just that one.